Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
Welcome to Financial Issues, folks, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light. Seth Udinsky, Samuel Case, and our host, Mark Manila, with you today. Mark, good morning.
Good morning.
How you feeling,
and what
brother?
a beautiful morning.
It's a good morning.
God reigns, and there's nothing better than knowing that.
Yeah, you know, Mark, it was cool. When I left the house today, I reminded my kids, we're winning, guys. We're gaining ground. We're winning this battle. Christ is on the throne. No matter the darkness around us, the church is growing.
That's right.
Good stuff, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
Oh, it is so exciting that the one true God, the God who created everything, sees fit for even me to get to participate. Is that awesome?
Cool. Pretty cool. He doesn't need us, but he chooses to use us. Pretty awesome. Folks, 610-363-1110 is the number to call in. Our phone lines are wide open. 610-363-1110. We want to hear from you. If you got questions for us, join us right now, 610-363-1110. Today's show, we got a busy one for sure. Month of October always seems to be one that's rather volatile, or at least that's the common knowledge, Mark. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We also have some wins to get to, a great winning Wednesday, as it were. And of course, yesterday, a very special day in our country as Charlie Kirk, an American hero and Christian martyr for the gospel, was posthumously awarded the Medal of Freedom. We'll talk about all of that. Sam, what do we got to start off here with the month of October? Ready to rock and roll there? Let's do it.
Oh, I am. Well, Seth, it is perhaps spooky season for the markets because, yes.
Well done, Sam. Well done.
I try to be fun. October, you're right, is historically the most volatile month for the stock market, with more than 1% swings in the S&P 500 than any other month since 1950. That volatility is partially because of the U.S. elections, specifically the midterms and presidential elections. But October is also known for major crashes like the Panic of 1907 and the crashes of 1929 and 1987, though it should be noted these crashes, they often began earlier in the year, with October seeing the delayed market reaction later. Though it should be noted that apart from these major downturns, and they are major, October's actually not historically really a bad month for the markets. In fact, in reality, September has actually historically been worse than October for stocks.
There you go.
Interesting.
Now put it in a true perspective, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yet it doesn't feel like that, because most people remember those. Well, think about this. If you were in a group of people and somebody stepped on your toe, or it was just a nice cordial environment, that's nice. But you probably really remember the one where somebody dropped a brick on your head and you had to go to the hospital, right? Even though that only happened once.
Right.
Now that social event is the one you remember as being negative. So I'm never
traumatic.
going to that.
It's like a trauma for the markets.
Exactly. So people remember those wounds, those market wounds that they suffered more than they remember all those good Octobers that they had. That's one of the reasons for it. And you know, it does feel volatile. First of all, think about markets are emotional, right? It's a jungle. You got to be careful. But think about you're coming up to Christmas, you're coming up to Thanksgiving, you're coming up to all these times. There's all this family stuff going on. There's all this prep going on. There's all this craziness. So we got to get all these gifts. What are we going to get Uncle Joe? I don't know. I never know. You know, it just all seems like this. So there's a lot of emotion running, for one, just in personal lives. And then two, you have another round of earnings seasons coming up. Right?
Yeah.
All
actually,
this
just
compounded
started
on
yesterday.
Yeah, all this compounded on those scars you have from the few crashes that you lived through.
Yep, absolutely.
So it makes sense that most people would be concerned about October.
Yeah, for sure. So
to me,
it kind of seems, Mark, from what you're saying there, it's almost like people are looking at past performance and kind of superimposing it to what will happen in the future, because certain things have happened in the month of October. It's kind of like, this idea, imagine getting nervous for a terrorist attack every time September comes around because of September 11th.
Right.
It was one time, but that's...
Well, my guess is if you were in that attack, you do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Most people who are in the markets felt that pain, have scars from it. And so every time October comes, you start thinking, this is crazy. You know, there's also a lot of trading as people get their portfolios in line for rebalancing. There's the quarterly rebalancing at the end of September, beginning in October. There's also a lot of trading and things that do happen. So I just think it's a highly sensitive month, and no reason not to make it any other way, really. It brings consciousness, awareness, alertness, and that's what you should be with a portfolio, or at least have somebody you can turn to for that. Do we know anybody we can turn to for that?
I mean, I think we have a. I'm actually sitting next to a guy right here who has 35 years of experience in this area.
I mean, Financial Issues is here specifically for that, so you can focus on that great family dinner at Thanksgiving and the Christmas get together. We'll take care of the research for you on the rest of it and help you realign your portfolio when it's time and do those things. Bring a little peace in your life so you don't have to fret when October comes around.
You know, folks, we do talk about the partnership a lot. We actually believe in it. We really do. We believe in this partnership. We're using it ourselves. We eat our own cooking. And it is, it could be, it's a great thing for you to consider. Mark, I want to ask you this. As someone who's been in the business for a long time, you have, just in the short time that I've known you, a very pastoral counselor type heart. If someone were to come to you, say a younger person come to you and say, hey, October's coming around. I got burned several Octobers ago. Something like that happened. I lived through one of the crashes or something like that. How would you counsel them?
That's a great question. First of all, we talk about the realities like we just did. And secondly, we talk about the long-term view. We don't want to live through another crash or anything like that. We want to be careful for those kind of things. But, you know, what you have to realize is Octobers were up more than they were down, just like any other month. And this is almost like, I don't know, what is it when, you know, those being unlucky, lucky, you know, it's not lucky to do this or not lucky to do that. This isn't about luck. This is about you're a child of the one true God, saved by grace, and you got a God who loves you. And he's pulling, if he's pulling on your heart, if he's put that fear in there, and that fear is rational for any reasons, if the knowledge and wisdom that of the markets stack up to that, then you should be listening to it. And if you can't listen to it, the fear is still there, then maybe it's God tugging on your heart saying, maybe there's something else to do with your portfolio. Let's make it a little more defensive. Maybe you ought to move out of that aggressive stock portfolio you have, move to something that maybe calms down the roller coaster a bit for you. So when October's come around, that kind of thing. So you can have that peace, because we don't act out of fear. We're not to act out of fear. We're not to act out of, you know, oh no, something might happen. What we want to act out of is wisdom and truth. And with the one true God, we have that, the ability to do that. We have the opportunity to find our peace in God, invest with purpose, and then trust in God for the outcomes. And that doesn't mean we're always going to make money, but what it does mean is we can live through the ups and downs of life, not avoid them, but live through them in peace. And that's something that many investors don't have, especially those who don't have Christ.
Yeah, it's well said, brother. You know, speaking of peace, I think it's so important for us to always be considering, is my portfolio honoring God? And I know for so many people, for our listeners, you all made a big step when several weeks ago we asked you to sell probably one of the largest holdings you may have had in your portfolio, which was Nvidia. And I know we do have a petition out right now, Mark, that is still live. We're trying to get the word out about this. Tell our listeners about this.
Yeah, we have a petition where we're not asking Nvidia to become a company of only Christian CEOs and stuff like that. What we're asking them to do is to just get back to doing business. Take the monies they earn, use it to grow the company for those who own it, like all those people that did own it before and now and still own it, so that they make money for the owners of the company. The profits go either to dividends or they go back into research and development and product distribution. We just are asking them to do what they claimed they were going to do when they filed and went public and asked people to put hundreds of billions of dollars into their company. That's all we're doing, is asking them to do that, and get away from trying to gaslight our culture and convince people that everything that's about God is wrong. That's all we're asking. And I believe if we get this petition large enough, that they'll listen to us. I know they're the largest, they're the Goliath out there, but that doesn't mean they won't listen. When they realize that true believers are many and sound and steadfast in their beliefs, we could turn that around, because it's not that big of a turnaround. It just means, hey, we could do more with this money than what we're doing. We can do what we're supposed to do, and we can do it better.
Yeah. Well said, brother.
I really want you to go out to our site.
Yeah.
And click on the Nvidia button there that pops up, the green.
It's super easy, the folks. Green. So there's a green banner at the top of the page that people can click on. But when you go to the website, right there's a pop-up that comes up, and it's this big sign the petition. There's a microchip there. You can tell it's Nvidia, obviously. So it's super easy to do. If you go to financialissues.org and do that, I'd encourage every single one of you to do that right now. And once you've done it, share it with people that you know.
There you go.
Share
That's
it with people
the key.
that you know.
Share it.
Yeah. We want people.
Let's get tens of thousands.
We want to get the word about this. Absolutely. Hey, folks, call in 610-363-1110. We want to hear from you. 610-363-1110. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. We got more financial issues on the other side of this break. Stick with us.
There are moments in life that define us. Choices determine the courses we take. Choices that create life, or those that save a life, and some make life worthwhile. There are decisions to stay, or to go, to remain the same, or to grow. Sometimes we pray and make peace. Other times we take a stand for what we believe. In celebration, mourning, triumph, and defeat, we are invested in every decision we seek. Despite differences, we have one thing in common: the desire to do all for the glory of God. Keep your wallet aligned with your heart and your investments in harmony with your faith. Timothy Plan. Biblically responsible mutual funds, ETFs, and retirement plans. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing.
In a world where financial decisions can feel overwhelming, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: our family, our faith, and our future. With financial issues by our side, we can invest knowing that our financial decisions are in line with our values. Take the first step today and become a Financial Issues partner to access rich online resources, training tools, and guidance for biblically responsible investing. Head over to financialissues.org and learn how to invest your money in a way that honors God. That's financialissues.org.
If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. And on top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn. The donations that you give actually make a difference. Last year, 59,000 babies were saved because of what you have done with your generosity.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah, fire away.
Is that you on guitar?
I wish it was.
Oh, okay.
I wish it was, yeah. That's a nice guitar riff there.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
Good riff.
Yeah.
Good music to bring us back.
Listen,
upbeat, powerful.
There are a lot of good bumper ins and outs out there, but I think Financial Issues has some of the best. I'm just going to say that right there.
Okay.
I think we have some of the best. So 610-363-1110, folks. Phone lines open, 610-363-1110. It's great to be here with you all today. Mark Manila is with us. We've hit that October 13th date. Mark, I'm having such a blast having you in studio.
I know. I'm going to have to go back to St. Louis pretty soon here when we're going to be broadcasting from 2 studios. It'll still be fun, but not
It'll
like
be great.
this.
This is awesome getting to do this. This is a little taste of what we'll enjoy in glory. You know, we were talking about this yesterday with our staff. There's so many of you out there who love us and who we love you as well. We don't know your names. You probably know ours because you see our faces and see our names at the bottom of the screen every day. But what a reunion in glory it'll be. We actually get to meet all of you.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
How cool would that be?
Really cool. So 610-363-1110. You know, speaking of the body of Christ, folks, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors we have. Samaritan Ministries just does some excellent work. When you're talking about health sharing, biblical health sharing, One of the terms that I use for it is Book of Acts, health sharing, where it's Christians coming together, sharing one another's burdens, much like Acts chapter 2 talks about. I've been with Samaritan now for several years. It's been nothing but a joy. I've loved every second of it, Mark. And they've come through for us in such amazing ways. My son had a pretty major surgery back around Christmas time last year, and Samaritan was there every step of the way, covering it fully, but also covering us with prayer. So both financial coverage and prayer coverage can't beat that.
No,
awesome.
That's incredible to think about. Just the community and the fellowship in there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
When people are going through a hard health time, and then they know there's all these people praying. I remember when you introduced me to it, that's what they use at FI Ministries here.
Yeah.
That the way I found that out was somebody said, "Who are we praying for this week?"
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you know who to pray for? Well, they're the ones we're sending our money to cover their bills. It's like, whoa, cool. That's so incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we just appreciate them so much, folks. I know so many of you have enjoyed being able to be part of the Samaritan family. You can check them out at info@samaritanministries.org if you want to send them an email, get more information. Mark, let's talk about this here. There's a lot of good things for us to discuss here. Kind of a sort of a Winning Wednesday segment that we have here. And one of them, I found this awesome. The state of Ohio, it looks like a federal court upheld a school district's policy allowing voluntary prayer before athletic events. So it rejected a lawsuit that argued it violated separation of church and state. I love this.
Yeah,
I absolutely love this.
How did it ever get so upside down is my question, but at least we're coming back and realizing it's okay. Yeah. If it's okay for you to talk about your favorite sports team, can't I talk about my favorite God?
Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So really just amazing things. And I think it affirms acknowledging God in public life is not a bad thing.
No,
it's actually a very good thing.
Especially the one true God.
Yeah.
Because that God is a God of love.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, folks, let's keep the pressure on here. We want to always, in this business, we do talk a lot about the bad things that happen, and that's part of it. We have to, but we don't want to forget the good
report the news and the impact of that on the markets. Sure,
exactly.
But we can't forget that our God. Trump thinks he's a winner.
Yeah,
compared to God. He's nothing.
Absolutely.
Because our God wins, and the ultimate win is coming, and we're part of that. You're part of that because of your faith in Jesus Christ.
Pretty cool. Absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of Trump, and actually another win as well, Sam, we saw this yesterday. If you want to tee this one up, we did see President Trump awarding a great Christian brother and a martyr of the faith, Charlie Kirk, the Medal of Freedom yesterday. Sam, tell us about this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. President Trump did award posthumously Charlie Kirk that Presidential Medal of Freedom, saying he will go down in history as one of the greats who stood up for what he believed. Here is the president during that ceremony.
Charlie never missed an opportunity to remind us of the Judeo-Christian principles of our nation's founding or to share his deep Christian faith. In his final moments, Charlie testified to the greatness of America and to the glory of our Savior, with whom he now rests in heaven. As I said, on the day that he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk was a martyr for truth and for freedom. And from Socrates to think, and to St. Peter, from Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, those who change history the most, and he really did, have always risked their lives for causes they were put on earth to defend.
Some pretty big names there, guys. So what do you think?
Yeah. I think that he's absolutely right, though. Charlie Kirk, most of the time that I ever saw his speaking or his debating, he was respectful. He showed the love of Christ, and his whole goal was to bring people to Christ through truth, but truth and love.
Yeah.
And so he deserved it. If anybody deserved it. You know what I also saw? I saw a little thing where this was the first award, the actual medal had a cross on it. And
wow.
This was the very first one that ever had that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a crucifix built into it, showing that his faith in Christ.
It's awesome. Yeah, Mark, it's exactly right. I mean, there are some Christians out there I know who their first instinct when they see something like this, where a Christian figure is publicly honored by a public figure, their first response is, like we just saw in that last story, is to kind of shrink back and say, well, no, separation of church and state. We have to remember the purpose of separation of church and state, folks, was to protect the Christian faith in particular, not
from
other
the
religions.
Government.
The Christian faith from the government. That's exactly right. So our country, whether you like it or not, I tend to really like it. We were founded as a Christian nation, valuing Christian principles. We need to get back to that.
We
need to get back to that.
We do. It would be wonderful if we can. The battle's going to rage on, but like we saw, there's a win almost every day that's showing that we are clawing back a little bit, and that's good, and God is being honored by it. So let's keep up the good work. Let's honor God in all we do, including our investments.
That's right. Well, 610-363-1110, folks. 610-363-1110. We got a call coming in here, Mark. This is Jim from North Carolina. I know Jim's one of our faithful listeners. Jim, good morning. You're live on Financial Issues.
Well, good morning, you two. It is such a pleasure to be able to talk with both of you.
Well, good morning, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
What's on your mind this morning?
I've got a question about my investments, in the sense of, I think I might be diluted. I have about 60 positions.
Okay.
And a lot of them...
Diversified to zero, huh?
Yes, exactly. But it has grown. Now, the portfolio has grown.
Well, good.
I've got a lot of positions at 1%, and because they have not grown as fast as the portfolio in total, they're now dipping down to like their 0.6, 0.7% of the portfolio. And I'm just thinking maybe I should sell those and then add those to the other one percenters, you might say, that have stuck around 1%, and then boost it up that way.
Yeah, actually pruning and caring for your portfolio is an excellent idea. One of the things we do when we're looking at all the Financial Issues buys and holds and things is we look at them and we find the weakest ones in there, and we look at those and say, maybe these stocks have turned against us. Maybe long-term they're not really worth holding anymore. That's why sometimes you'll see them go on the sell list. But even if they're good, if we have like 80 great stocks and we have 5 just okay, why not try to find 5 great stocks? Always pruning the weakest out and moving the better ones in. That doesn't mean we're day trading on it. It just means on long term, after 3 or 5 years or these kind of things, we're noticing this one's been down for quite a while, and the management doesn't seem to be reacting to it, and they don't seem to have the revenue growth that we want. We'll look for something better. We're always looking for something better. So I think you're right on track with that, Jim. I think it's a great idea, and this is a good time to do it. I thought it was today, but maybe tomorrow or Friday we're going to talk about tax loss harvesting.
Yep.
So this might be a good time for that. If you have some in your portfolio that maybe you had some great ones like that did incredibly well, like Nvidia, like we're talking about, and it made a lot of long-term capital gains for you. Maybe there's some of those stocks that haven't done good and have negative returns that you could sell now, and that way you could harvest the loss in those to help offset some of the wins, some of the capital gains in the ones that did excellently, that did excellent for you, that you had to sell this year because they went dirty on you. So congratulations, you're right on track. I love the way you're thinking. I would go for it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All righty.
I
God
just want
bless.
to say,
Pardon me?
God bless you guys. I just can't say enough about FISM. I'm serious. You guys, if I would have known, I would have switched my TSP over a lot longer, a longer credit.
God bless you. Thank you for that.
That's awesome, Jim.
Pass it on. Let everybody know, because that's what we're here for. We really believe that if we can get more and more people investing with biblical integrity, we can curb this social bubble that's going in the wrong direction. We can at least slow down the decay so more and more people who don't know Christ will have the opportunity to come Christ.
That's right.
I mean, God put us here for a reason, and those that do know Christ, they can enjoy more peace, and they can enjoy that comfort of knowing they are honoring God in all they do, including their investments. Thank you, Jim. God bless you.
And, Jim, just, think about this too. We talk a lot about wanting to be found, having a sword in hand. I really do believe that for you and for so many of our partners as well, the sword is your money. That's the weapon that you use to be able to fight back against this darkness. So you're doing a great job, man.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Jim, appreciate the call, man. Well, folks, 610-363-1110 is the number to call in here. 610-363-1110. Mark, I'd love to try to squeeze a question in here, but I tell you, we're coming up on a segment break here, and it's just, I would hate to shortchange some of our partners.
Come on, Seth. Mark's a professional.
I know. I would love to, Sam. Believe me, it's my urge to do so.
Well, why don't we follow up right now on what Jim said, because we teased a little bit about tax harvesting.
Sure.
Some people think, well, this might not be a good idea. What if I have just some short-term gains and not long terms, and they got to understand the difference of those. We're going to explain that when we talk about this. But we're long-term investors. Why would I sell these things I've only owned for 2 years, even if they've done bad for 2 years or they're down? I'd like to address that in the last 30 seconds I have. You can always buy them back at the beginning of the year. You harvest the tax loss. Then if they start turning around or they have a good entry point, we buy them back. So I love what Jim said.
That's awesome.
I'm glad he called in.
Me too. And folks, we want to hear from all of you. 610-363-1110. Don't be shy. We'd love to talk to you. It's a joy to get to do so. 610-363-1110. We'll get to your calls and questions coming back on the other side of this break. More financial issues with your host, Mark Manila, and the team here. We'll be back after this.
Where's Mima? We found out Shepard's diagnosis when I was about 17 weeks pregnant. We learned that he was going to need a series of surgeries after he was born in order to give him what they considered a normal life. And we weren't sure how this worked.
Yeah, very emotional, very, very broken. And as my wife just said, not sure how this worked. And called Samaritan, and they said, you just go have that baby. You leave the rest to us.
And just to hear the confidence on the other end of the phone of this is not something that you need to be concerned about at all. You focus on the health of your family, the health of your baby, and we will walk with you every step of the way.
I started investing close to 30 years ago now. All that time, I had never heard anyone talk about setting up your portfolio in a way that glorifies God. When I first heard about it, I was listening to the radio, a show called Financial Issues. They were teaching people how to honor God with their money. That made a lot of sense to me. I guard my heart, my mind. I watch my mouth, hoping to bring glory to God in everything I do and say. Well, why wouldn't I want to do the same with my money? I decided I wanted my portfolio to glorify God. I became a partner with Financial Issues, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made. I want to leave a legacy of godliness for those who are following in my footsteps. Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
When a woman comes into a center, she's being pressured from her family, from her friends, by her circumstances, by the rhetoric of the culture to believe that this is a quick and easy way out. If a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, it doubles the likelihood that she'll choose life. And on top of that, we share the gospel of Jesus Christ with her. This is why you should support preborn. The donations that you give actually make a difference. Last year, 59,000 babies were saved because of what you have done with your generosity. And so we just encourage you to make a difference at whatever degree you can, whether you can do a $28 contribution for one ultrasound, whether you can underwrite an ultrasound machine for $15,000 or 10 ultrasound machines for $150,000. Where does the Lord have you so that you can make a difference?
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, Go to preborn.com/FISM.
610-363-1110. Welcome back, folks. We're here live this morning. It's great. I don't mean to harp on it, Mark, but I'm loving having you in studio. I really am. And I know our listeners are as well.
I'm really enjoying it.
It's fun.
I wish I could stay here.
Absolutely. Well, same here. Same here. But we're grateful for the time we get to have you now here, brother. Markets just opened up, folks, and they're all in positive territory. They've kind of been on a roller coaster this week, Mark. They started out after last week when they were tanking. They started out strong yesterday, not so good, and today.
Well, come on, Seth. You got to listen to segment 1. Volatility in October.
It's the volatility.
Pay attention.
That's right, man. Yeah, the Dow Jones is up 0.5% right now. The S&P 500 about 0.75%, and the NASDAQ creeping up towards a full percentage point. So that's what we're looking like here. Let's go to the phones again. 610-363-1110. We've got Ken from Arkansas. Ken, good morning. You're live on Financial Issues.
Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Seth, man. Appreciate you. God bless y'all for all y'all do.
Thank you.
Thank you,
good
brother.
morning. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, man, I've been a partner for so long, I can't remember how long it's been. But, Dan was always a big proponent of not having money in a qualified account, and I'm not quite so hard over on that now that the tax cuts have been made temporarily permanent. And
sure.
Well said.
my plan had been to take every year all my stocks that were down, because of course there are losers that have not been on the sell list and some pay a dividend. So at the end of the year, I'd move those into my just regular investment account to pay the taxes while they were down.
Okay.
And I'm wondering whether that is a good thing to do, because I'm 67, and so my minimum distributions will be coming up in a number of years, 5 years, and I was trying to get to the point where the only things left in my IRA, in my what do you call it? In my
tax deferred. IRA, yeah. Traditional IRA.
Thank you very much for that word. So that the only thing left in there were enough to pay do my donations out of each year. Is that a good plan, to move your losers out at the end of the year?
Well, the only way to move those out is, of course, to sell them, because you can't transfer from an IRA to an individual account. What you could do is sell them off. Is it a good idea to sell the losers every year? No and yes. Well, like I said, we're going to talk about tomorrow or Friday, I think, tax harvesting and how to do that. Now, you don't have any tax harvesting in an IRA because there are no capital gains in it. You don't report capital gains. You don't have to pay on them, long-term or short-term in there. So there's no benefit to moving them out. You can't take the tax deduction against your short-term or long-term capital gains by doing that. A better thought might be, if you don't like the idea of, or if you're trying to harvest some losses or something, it's good to have them over in your individual. But if I were going to move things out of my IRA, I'd probably move them into my Roth. Either way, when you sell it in your IRA and move it to your individual, you have to pay tax on that. Any gains, or it's neutral, because you don't get to take any losses when you take it out. So, but if you move it to your Roth, you never have to pay taxes on it now, ever, until they change the laws. Right. So moving those, if you want to move money every year out of your traditional IRA to your Roth, that's a great idea. I never even cared for an IRA. I had any respect for the IRA until the Roth came along. And the reason for that was the idea of deferring taxes to a time where I no longer had income just didn't make sense to me. And I think that most people realize that. There was that financial planning things, well, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. But quite frankly, if you have a decent income now, and I'm not talking about ultra rich or rich, just a decent income, to get in a lower tax bracket, you got to be in poverty these days. So why would I want to pay tax? Why would I want to go into poverty just so I don't have to pay taxes? So what you want to do is to possibly consider, instead of moving into your individual account, move them into your Roth IRA. And that way, when they, hopefully, they're just going through a down cycle, you don't have to worry about the tax gains or losses in there. But when they shoot through the ceiling, which we pray every one of them does for you, you won't have to pay taxes on the gains either.
All right. Well, we will listen to you on Thursday and Friday when you discuss tax harvesting and hopefully glean some more insight from that. And welcome to the show, brother.
Well, thank you very much. I am so happy and humbled to be here. This is going to be incredible, not because I'm here, but because I'm coming in with a crew of incredible people, great people like Seth, Sam, even the leadership here. You know, everybody here just loves the Lord and believe 100% that what we're doing is not our work, it's God's work, and we get to walk in it. So it's going to be wonderful here.
And, you know, Ken, I'll just say this also, man, we can't do what we do without long-term partners like you. I'm actually curious, brother, how long have you been, with us?
Oh, man, probably 15 years.
Wow. Praise God. Thank you for that.
Listen to Dan for years and years. So, I can't remember. I'm 67.
All right.
Thank you for that, Ken. Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
God bless.
God bless you all.
God bless.
Yep. We'll talk soon, brother. Yeah, that's awesome, Mark. Yeah, Mark, I think it's good, for all of our listeners, for Ken included. Why don't we plan tomorrow? We spend, maybe a segment and talk about that tax loss harvesting.
It's not real deep, but it is real helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in a year where there's been such volatility.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And certainly, anyone listening out there probably will be in that situation. Somebody will be at some point.
Yeah, they have. Think of the huge stocks that had to be sold off because they decided to go under total secularism instead of godly stewardship.
Exactly. Well, Mark, I know we have a couple Hey Mark questions we can get to here. This first one comes in from Darren. And by the way, folks, if you want to get your question answered immediately, best way to do is to call in 610-363-1110, 610-363-1110. Darren's question, Mark, is a good one. He says, there are not a lot of new stocks on the buy list right now. What is the thought process behind this?
Oh, okay, yeah. I think what he's saying is, why don't we have some new stocks in the buy list?
I want new ones. Give me new ones.
That's not an unusual question. This is a little bit of a tricky time. The markets have run up so much. There isn't a great amount of good entry points for a lot of stocks. There are some great stocks out there that aren't on the list, but maybe it's just not the time to move in. We spoke yesterday about the risk, the idea that, we have a 2x4 on the floor, you can walk across it. There's not a lot of risk if you fall off it. But if you raise that up to the top of the Empire State Building and stretch it across a couple of buildings, doesn't take any more talent or ability to walk across it. But if you do trip, if you do fall, the consequences are so much more. And that's where we're at right now. So though there are ideas and things we would like to put in, we're waiting for the better entry points, and we're waiting so that the risk level comes down a little bit before we would do something like that. Also, being near the end of the year, there's a lot of things that can happen. There's a lot of portfolios rebalancing at this time. There's all sorts of things that are going on with mutual funds and other things. So we're going to be a little bit more careful during this time. We will see new buys coming on. There's no doubt about that. We will see that happening. We just want to make sure that we give you the best buys at the best time for that.
And, I think it's a good reminder too, Mark. There are a lot of options right now on the buy list. Actually, it's very,
over 90,
robust right now. Yeah. And, of course, that includes a lot of Timothy funds, Timothy ETFs, but there's plenty of options out there.
Absolutely,
yeah. So that's good. Speaking of that, Mark, we actually got another question here. We'll go down to Jesse. Jesse's 65. And he's asking, is the Timothy Fund a high-risk fund? Now, I don't know if he's wondering about a specific Timothy fund or Timothy in general. Okay, tell us about that.
Well, I think that's the best way to look at it, Jesse, is that when we look at the Timothy plan is a family of mutual funds. It's not a fund. It's multiple funds. I think there's 12, 15, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so we have and each fund has a different emphasis and different risk involved with it. And they go from very ultra conservative, like the defensive fund, to aggressive, like their aggressive growth, or their small cap fund would be a little bit more volatile than, say, their fixed income. So depending on which mutual fund you're looking at would depend the risk level in there. Or I don't like the the term risk as much as I like the term volatility. And so the more risky, the more volatile it is what it comes down to. So, Jesse, if you're looking at aggressive growth, it would be considered higher risk than their fixed income. That's all it is. So what you can do is you can go into those different funds and find the risk level or the volatility level that you're comfortable with. And move into that. That's one of the reasons we do the asset allocation models, to help you to do that. We have the different models going from income to growth. And by utilizing those, the income has less volatility, and usually if there's a serious pullback, a crash or something like that, it recovers quicker, those kind of things. And then you get up into the growth and you'll see a lot more volatility and possibly a bigger hit if the market pulls back hard, things like that. So you figure out first your sleep factor, where are you comfortable at night, and then second, you figure out, you match that to the model, and then you go and find the stocks or funds in those models and populate your portfolio.
That's great. Thank you, brother. 610-363-1110, number to call in here, folks. We want to hear from you. If you're looking for the Ag Report as well, the Ag is on the website for this week, so make sure to check that out for our farmers and ranchers. More financial issues to come right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Tired of the chaos? There are a lot of things that make noise, but only a few that truly matter. As a parent, I want to leave something that will last for a long time.
Invest $300 a month interest on slowly by the time you retire.
Not just an inheritance of money, but a legacy of godly values.
Here at Financial Issues, we want to help you grow your money, but our main goal is to help you honor God with the money that He's given you.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
In the last 10 to 15 years being in ministry, being married, something that has been constant in our lives is Samaritan Ministries. As we've moved, we've had babies, we've had different things come up, we have just been able to rely on Samaritan in ways that we never really even thought about before becoming members.
Our heart's desire is to plant roots and be in a place for a really long time. It's how we were raised. We see the benefits of that, but we also see the open-handedness of being used by the Lord wherever He calls, because we just assumed when we started pursuing church planting, the quickest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line. And with the Lord, sometimes you find out it looks a lot more like this. And yet, Samaritan was with us through the entire thing.
We didn't have to look into, we have to change insurances now because we've moved states or whatever the case may be. And it's just been a real blessing to us in different phases of life.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Colleen.
We're the Gen X.
And we're Samaritan members.
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant. My family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She offered to get me an ultrasound. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep him.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
610-363-1110. You got time, folks. A couple minutes at least if you want to join the conversation. But we do have, Mark, quite a few questions to get to here. So let's get rolling here.
Yeah.
Dan is asking this one. Good morning, team. God bless your week ahead. Dan's a partner. Appreciate that, Dan. He's saying, can you please direct me in setting up, saving, giving, and investing for my teens? I want to teach them and invest with them their own savings, if there's a way to do that, when they're 16 and 13. We're off to a bumpy start paying for everything they choose to do. So I want to reel them in to help them to see the value of investing, saving, giving. Dan's 52. Mark Mark, what do you think? Would be a good place for Dan to start.
I think there's a great heart there, and the proper thing as a parent to want your children to understand what money is for, why God created the physics of money and how to use it. And starting with giving, I know everybody says that, but starting with giving, letting them know that, God determines your income. It doesn't matter how hard you work or how little you work. Eventually, He decides how much you're going to make, how much is going to be in your household. And it's important to learn to depend on God, not on yourself. Yeah, you should hone all the talents and the gifts that you're given, but to depend on God. And part of the way you do that is learning to hold on loosely to what God has given you. So that's why in the Old Testament they tithed and did so much more than that to teach themselves that it's not their gold, it's not their money that they have security in, but the one true God. Starting with that, helping them to decide which ministries to invest in. That's an excellent way to get started. Secondly, helping them to start setting up, what is it that you want to save for? Oh, you want a new bike? Oh, you want a new computer or whatever? Well, let's set up a savings account for that, and let's show you how that comes about and help them to understand that work is not a necessary evil, but something God has allowed us to do and we were created for. And by working, God is able to reward you with income and things like that you can use not only to pass it on, to be a conduit of by your giving, but then also to support yourself and others that are in your family or whoever God puts in your path to support. So then he can start serving, he or she can start saving for the short-term things. And then as they get a little extra built up, then you can say, I want to show you one of the miracles God created in this thing called money. And it's called time value of money, and it's investing. And let me show you how you can honor God and prepare for the future by investing with integrity. And now they start getting a really strong biblical lesson regarding honoring God in all you do. They learn that money can work for you, and they get the joy of investing and getting to follow stocks and things like that. I'm going to take a little side here. When I was a kid, one of the things that I did or happened to me was you could join a club. Now it's a company that I would not ever invest in, Disney. But when I was a kid, they weren't investing or promoting all this ugliness. They were promoting families and they were promoting good
wholesome entertainment.
But what I learned as a kid was if you could save enough money, you could buy stock in it, and you could get the stock certificate, and it had all the characters on it and stuff. Fun. And it was, I never got to buy a stock. I never saved up enough. I always was buying other things.
Guitars.
Guitar. No. But I always wanted to do that, and it was exciting to think about that. And sometimes it's fun to do those kind of things. It helps them learn about investing, helps them learn about how honoring God in all aspects of your life is what stewardship is really about. Honoring God is what salvation is all about, and we can do that. And then the giving part of it. So I think you're on the right track. I would start with discussing the idea of what it means to hold on loosely and give out of your first fruits. 10% is training wheels, according to Randy Alcorn, and I'd agree with them. But help them to find things that tug at their heart. Help them to find whether it's church, which always I believe. I think we can go into the Bible and see that given to your local church, those who are teaching, those who are shepherding you, it should come first. Yeah. But then there may be other ministries. There might be some outreaches. There might be some feeding the poor, soup kitchens. There might be something that your child has a heart for. Help them to discover that heart so they can help support that. And then visit those places if you can. So start with giving, go to savings, short-term goal, and then help them start developing the long-term goals and introduce them into investing with integrity so they can see how honoring God fits into every aspect of their life.
And Dan, you might consider, when they're ready for it, maybe even gifting them an FISM partnership.
Oh, and that would be so cool. Sitting down and working with them on it.
Yeah. Exactly. And then at that point, Mark, I think the next logical question to ask is actually the next question we have lined up. Sally is asking, what are some good stocks to purchase for my grandchildren who are 12 and 7? This will be a long-term investment. I actually had that question in my mind for Dan, for his teenagers. What would be, and this might be a little too specific, but I'm curious to hear your answer. Are there any good stocks you can think of right off the top of your head, or maybe Timothy Holdings, that would be good for a young child who doesn't really know much, but to get them going long-term?
Yeah, well, I think you stole my thunder with the Timothy.
Yeah.
No,
sorry about that.
No, it's good. It's good. I actually, my head's going back and forth. There's this logic side that says, I'm going to give them the logic, the mathematical side here. And then my other side goes, no, there's another answer to that too. So I'm going to give you both. First of all, the logic side is, when you're investing with a little bit of money, it's generally better to use funds, mutual funds or ETF, exchange traded funds. The reason for that is you get diversity in those. Anywhere from 10 to 50 to 150 stocks are in that fund, and you own a part of each equal to the amount of money you put in compared to the full money that's in there. So one way to get the diversification and the professional management is to go into a fund when you don't have enough money to manage it yourself and buy the individual stocks. There's the logical answer. Now here's the fun answer. Find out what your child loves. Find out what they're in. Are they passionate about computers? Are they passionate about railroads? I have a grandson who just loved trains. And then
passionate about the Crusades, as my son is.
There you go. I don't know if there's any stocks we can find there.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Once you find that passion, start looking into different stocks that are in that area so they get into tracking them. And of course, then you can introduce them into the evaluator, so you can take that stock, you could go look at it, you could see if it makes sense to invest in from a mathematical or a worldly point of view, and then you can go and screen it and help them understand. We don't invest in, as believers, we don't invest in anything that grieves God's heart, that uses or abuses people. We only invest in those things, partner with those companies that are at the very least neutral, and help them develop that, as we were talking about to the last question, help them develop that understanding that everything we do can be an act of worship. And that's the way we want to live as stewards in our life, as those who love Christ. So you could do that, but it gets them excited. So they buy a train stock, or they buy a computer stock or something, and maybe they're just into AI or something, and you find a small artificial intelligence stock that hasn't cross the line to the darkness yet. Right. and you get them involved with the stock, and then you get up in the morning and they're eating their Cheerios and they're looking on their computer or your computer and looking up their stock to see what it's doing today. And it's just a lot of fun for a young man or young woman to get involved with that, especially if it's part of their interests. And that's a way to introduce them to it. Then they got that stock, and then maybe you can move them to a diversified ETF with new money coming in later.
That's awesome. Mark, thank you for that. Folks, I've seen so many of you on the chat here, and I just want to address our chat family for a second. We love you guys. I haven't been able to call you out by name because the shows have been so busy. Yeah. But man, we just appreciate you all so much. I see so many comments coming in every single show, Mark. People loving hearing you. There's questions getting in there. We'll get to those questions, folks, as quickly as we possibly can. But man, I got to tell you, we're just so thankful for that chat family in there. Mark, as you were talking there, it did remind me just one more time how important this Nvidia petition is.
It
and
is.
How we have got to get the word out about this thing. We really do.
Even if they don't yield.
Yeah.
Even if they don't yield, the voice will get out there. The media will have to pick it up. If we get enough signatures on this, the fake media will have to pick this up. That there is 50,000 people signing this, and they'll have to report it. And when that happens, it will impact not just Nvidia, but all the other companies as well. Help us with this. I know we have a lot of partners that maybe haven't gotten out there yet. Please do, and then pass it on. We would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And folks, the best place to go for this is the website, financialissues.org. It's very easy. If you go to the main homepage, whether you're a partner or not, you'll see a big green banner at the top of the page saying, tell Nvidia no. And then usually there's a pop-up that comes up too. You can click on that, sign the petition. It'll take you about, unless you want to read through the whole thing, it'll take maybe 5 minutes. Otherwise, it'll take you about 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's not that long. All we're asking is to do what you said you were going to do and stop using the investors' money to forward an agenda by 12 men or women on the board of directors who are so rich they don't care what they do with your money as a partner.
Yeah, and when you realize how evil it is, hopefully that just spurs you on to want to be able to partake in this. Do that now today, folks, at financialseas.org.
That would be great if you would. But the main thing is to pass it on.
Yeah.
Pass it on. Tell everybody you know. Let's get everybody involved in this. Let's turn it into a movement.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I want to see.
Amen.
Yeah, and with that said, I really want to thank everybody for being here today. It means a lot to us that you're joining us. It means a lot that the ministry can go on. And it means a lot that you desire to honor God with all your investments. God bless.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.